Hello Year 9. Today is the first lesson into our new topic on the First World War. To begin this lesson and to start us thinking about what the First World War looked like and what actually happened during the war and how it was fought, I would like you please to have a look at this image. I would like you to choose one of the questions on this slide to answer based on this image. So obviously the bronze question is going to be a question that I think all of us are able to answer. The gold question is more difficult, and that is something that I think some of us will be able to answer. If you wish to challenge yourself, please have a go at the gold question. So for the bronze question, I want you to have a look at this image and describe what you can see. What is in that picture? What is it showing you about the First World War? Secondly, I want you to be able to explain what this image tells you about the First World War. What knowledge about the First World War have you gained from looking at this image? And lastly, if you want to try the gold question of how reliable is this image to inform you about the First World War, I want you to start thinking about how you can judge reliability. So obviously this image I haven't told you anything about. So because of that, think about how reliable this image is. What knowledge have you already got about the First World War that maybe can support what is in this image? What knowledge have you already got about the First World War that maybe doesn't support what is showing in this image? So obviously, Year 9, this is an image of the trenches that were used within the First World War and how the First World War was fought. You can see soldiers that are leaning over the trench to be shooting into no man's land at the enemy. You could also see soldiers who are stood within the trench, not partaking within the fighting, but are there involved, waiting for their turn. Trench warfare is something that we will be looking at in future lessons. So for today's lesson, we're going to be looking at the First World War and firstly, the causes of the First World War. Throughout the unit on the First World War, we're going to be thinking about whether the war was an unnecessary war. Could this war have been avoided? Throughout this lesson, I'm hoping that all of you will be able to describe the causes of the First World War. I'm hoping that most of you will be able to explain the difference between the long-term and the short-term causes, and some of you will be able to reach a judgment on whether the First World War could have been avoided. So for the first task, we need to be finding out about those causes and how the First World War happened. So on a separate sheet, we can see a table that I would like you to fill in. On this table, you have got every single cause of the First World War. I want you to be using the information provided to be answering each of these questions on your table. I want you to be describing the issue. What is it? I want you to explain how it led to the First World War. Why did that cause the First World War to happen? I then want you to describe how important this was to the outbreak of the First World War. Was it a major factor in the outbreak of the First World War, or was it something that had less of an impact? Then lastly, I need you to be deciding whether it is a long-term or short-term cause. By a long-term cause, I mean something that had been going on for a number of years before the First World War. If you wish to develop your understanding of the causes of the First World War, I would like you to please have a look at the challenge question. Which of these reasons that you have just learned about directly led to the outbreak of the First World War? Now that you've got an understanding of the causes of the First World War, I would like you to rank these causes in order of importance. So this is a task where you need to use your own opinion to reach that decision. So by that, I would like you to think about which one you believe had the biggest impact on the outbreak of the war. You then need to rank them down to the least important. Once you've done this, I would like you to explain why you have decided that that is the most important cause. Lastly, to consolidate our learning throughout this lesson, I would like you to describe what you believe caused the First World War. You can then say whether you believe the First World War could have been avoided.